back to the Nerd Variety Podcast. I'm Hannah, and I'm joined by Hunter
Hi.
and Josh.
What's up?
And this week we're going to be talking both amongst ourselves and to you guys about our favorite sort of hidden gems, those things that are underappreciated or not as well known as we think they should be. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to offer this week. So
I just found a gem hidden in my room. Oh, never mind.
do you want to talk about it?
A gym, is this a physical or a media gym?
Well, it's it has some workout equipment and it has some weights and an elliptical.
Is it about this big? Is it about this big? Is it over there? Is it this part of your room, or is it on that side of your room?
Yeah.
Okay, nerdy gems. No workout gyms. That's like the opposite of what we want to be doing here.
Yeah, fine.
So, do you have any nerdy gems to share, Hunter?
Possibly.
I know you've had a really hard time with this topic.
I have, because I don't know what's obscure, and it depends on what group you're talking about, because to some people any video game is obscure. Some people any show is obscure, any movie, anything like that. But I have a list of possibilities. The first on my list here, because I actually wrote down a list so I didn't forget. One that I'm pretty confident this is obscure. It's an animated movie. I don't know exactly how old it is, but it's Interstellar 5555. Have either of you heard of it?
No.
I have not heard of it.
No? So it's an animated film that's kind of a musical. Actually, it is a musical. Based on of the songs in order of the Daft Punk album Discovery. So that's the one. If you're familiar with Daft Punk,
that is not obscure. Let me just clarify.
No,
that doesn't count. Okay.
The song, and if you don't know exactly the album Discovery, it's the one that has "One More Time" on it, which is probably the most popular song from there. I know every song from there. I know pretty much every song by Daft Punk.
Clarification, I have heard of this. I just watched it last year.
Okay. So, did you just not remember what it was, or?
Yes. I recall one last time it being, basically
it's pretty much how they open it.
A short, a movie, and a very good movie. Very tricky movie. Yeah.
It's, again, the whole thing, I really like it. It's weird. And, again, it's a musical in the sense that there's, I'm pretty sure, absolutely no talking.
Okay, well, that would be closer to an opera or an operetta, technically.
Well, also, I don't think the characters really sing. As far as I remember. It's been a while since I've seen it.
So it sounds kind of like just a really long animated music video.
Kinda, yeah.
Is there a plot?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a plot. It's a weird one, too. And that's what makes the whole movie so weird, is that you can pretty much piece it together without any words or anything. And that's one thing I love about it, is because it's all told through the music, and the music isn't in a musical or opera format. It's just it just goes, and you kind of have to piece together, match the visuals with the music and kind of put the story together. It's good. I would recommend.
It almost sound more like a ballet.
Kind of.
Where
I guess.
I'm trying to understand what that even would look like, and the closest thing I can think of would be, having music and characters and a plot, but no one ever says anything.
Yeah, there's not a lot like it.
Have you seen Fantasia, Hannah?
It's been a long time, but yes.
Like Fantasia.
Okay.
But the plots but it's the same story being told in each different song.
Interesting. What's it called one more time?
Interstellar 5555.
Interesting.
So it's the closest thing that I could probably relate it to. But if you're unfamiliar with this, then it's no help. It's a lot like it reminds me of how Gorillaz does their stuff.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Gorillaz, they basically have a whole story thing that goes through between like all their music videos, but it's entirely, animated and drawn. Mm-hmm. So that's the band. It's technically, Gorillaz is technically a fictional band in that sense. So, it's kind of like that, except that's more spread out than Interstellar 5555.
Interesting.
Yeah. I figured that was pretty obscure.
Yeah. I feel like it raises the question, at least in my mind, of like, why?
Why not?
Not in like a skeptical, like, why would you do that? What's up? What's wrong with you? But just as in like, why? Like, what is the point? Is there a point? Or is it, I guess, maybe.
It's Daft Punk, but you get to have a visual experience.
Yeah.
And the visual experience actually goes with the soundtrack.
Yeah. No, it sounds fascinating, but it's just, I would like to talk to the person who was like, that's a good idea, we should do that, and kind of get an idea of like what their thought process was going into that, because I feel like it's very non-traditional.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I mean by why.
Yeah, it's one of the things I like most about it.
Of course you do.
Yeah. Untraditional, non-traditional.
Josh, what do you got?
Oh, let's see. There's a series on Netflix I've been watching. It's a kind of I thought it was a TV series, but then it turns out it's actually a 3-part movie. Godzilla.
Okay. I mean, I know who Godzilla is.
They've made many movies.
I hope you know who Godzilla is.
There have been many movies.
So far it's not striking me as super obscure.
Yeah, but think kind of a combination of, I guess, Jurassic Park, Attack on Titan, and maybe but it mixes some Godzilla lore into it. So basically, it's a story of how humanity had to leave the planet because Godzilla awoke and started destroying everything, and they were gone enough time to where they finally found a way back, and they're desperate to get back because they want to get life back the way it was going. And they get back to the planet. The planet's kind of gone the way of Godzilla, as in that the plants, the animals are all kind of like Godzilla, and like that they're all kind of armored reptilian. The plants are kind of, can't really. They try to do I think machete through the plants, and the plants like no machete broke or something like that. So it's just a very hostile place, and there's a lot of cool like human versus Titan kaiju fights I also forgot Pacific Rim too. That's another good reference point. But it's a really fun show. They have a lot of debates because they're wanting to stay together and fight this thing and want to keep fighting for Earth. They also have these different factions, these different humanoid creatures, this kind of elf-like, high society, intelligent race that is kind of questioning everybody's kind of motivations, and then there's kind of this barbaric kind of warrior, smart but still kind of warrior race that's wanting to, I guess you see more of their intentions in the second film, and I need to watch the last one to see how it ends, if it ends. I thought it was a really cool way to see Godzilla.
So you said it's a film series?
Yes, it's a film series.
Is it animated or?
It's anime.
Okay. Anime.
Oh.
I think I actually have seen it pop up on Netflix, but not actually watched it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's fun to romp though. It's I like Godzilla. I like the theory. I like thinking of how would you fight Godzilla, and who doesn't like seeing Godzilla just use his giant laser cannon
Yeah.
Godzilla breath to destroy things, everything.
I like Godzilla.
I'm not as familiar as I feel like I should be with all of the lore surrounding Godzilla. Just because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the Godzilla movies that we've had in recent years have not been very good.
I haven't really watched any of them.
I would say the 2014 one was pretty good. It just kind of didn't put enough focus on Godzilla. It kind of tried to save it for the end. It was rewarding, but had a lot of like human stuff that I was like, bring me the giant.
Yeah, isn't there one that came out recently?
Yeah, this year with Millie Bobby Brown.
Mm-hmm.
It was Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla was basically fighting
11.
No, that would be cool. But he was fighting all of the other kaiju, Mothra. I can't remember the other ones, but there's another one that's like a 3-headed dragon.
Yeah, I remember a lot of these characters from, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was an older, probably PlayStation or PlayStation 2 game. And that's where I remember learning about a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
And you're right now, I know that one, and I remember being excited when I saw it in the trailers, and I even knew its name, I think, at the time. But now that, of course, I'm trying to think of it, I'm blanking on it.
From what I've seen, it feels like just the same story over and over again. And like every 5 or 6 years, too. It's not like they really let it rest and then bring it back. I feel like every 5 or 6 years there's been a new Godzilla or King Kong or like something.
Well, they're building a whole thing about that, right? Yeah, it's kind of like an MCU sort of thing.
Yeah,
they're going to like bring it to a head.
I don't think if the first King Kong from 2005, or it probably would, that definitely wasn't part of the continuity.
No.
I don't know if I think the one from 2014, the Godzilla from 2014, is part of it. Mechanically, the first one.
Yeah, I think so too.
And they made Kong Skull Island, and they had Godzilla King of the Monsters, and those are going to lead up to Godzilla versus Kong, which is going to come out next year or 2021.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just not into it enough to appreciate any subtle differences that there might be between the movies, because I feel like they're all kind of giant monster, and like sometimes it's a good guy, sometimes it's a bad guy, but it's all just kind of screaming giant dinosaur things.
No.
That can be a fun way to turn your brain off.
That's true. That's fair, and I appreciate that about movies.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe it's just not my thing.
But maybe check out Godzilla, because it does have some survival elements and kind of a human kind of, man versus nature versus human, man versus self, conflicts.
Yeah, it sounds almost a little bit more, I mean, I guess it would be more sort of post-apocalyptic in nature.
Yeah.
But I like the Earth has gone native sort of apocalypse.
Oh yeah, definitely native.
That does sound interesting.
Everything can kill you or eat you, or both.
Yeah, it sounds like a very intense Jumanji.
I can see that, yeah.
Just when you said like all the plants are dangerous, I pictured the original, like with Robin Williams and the giant flowers that'll eat you. That's what immediately entered my head.
Yeah.
What did you come up with, Hannah?
So I wanted to share with you guys, I think I mentioned this before, NetHack. Maybe I didn't, and maybe that would mention it to my D&D group, because I was playing it while I was supposed to be playing D&D, and they got mad at me.
You probably mentioned it, but does that mean I listened?
Probably not. Okay, so NetHack is a video game. Yeah, I was delving into the world of video games. I do play video games. That was actually created in 1987. And in a typical 1987 video game sort of fashion, it is insanely hard. It's really, really hard, and if you die, you have to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, but you see, you haven't played Dark Souls, so you don't know what hard.
I have not played Dark Souls. Have you beat Dark Souls?
Yes.
Then it's not as hard as NetHack.
Yeah, I've beaten NetHack.
No, you haven't.
Yeah,
You said you didn't even know what it was.
Well, that's not what I said. You're paraphrasing.
I got about halfway through the game, and I was freaking thrilled. And I called my dad to tell him, and he was shocked because I made it farther than he ever did, and he used to play it like religiously when he was a kid back in the 80s. But it's a roguelike game, so you're running around, and the levels are randomly generated and stuff like that. And if you die, you have to completely start over.
Your dad's pretty young.
My dad is very young. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was my age when I was born. 24?
Yeah.
24.
Oh, yeah, he would be, because this is the year that he's twice my age. He's 48, and I'm turning 24 next month.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, what I love about NetHack is it's really simple to play, but really, really hard to master, right? There's 50 levels of like the base game, and then there's further sort of places you can go on the like different rabbit trails you can go down. But like you have to be incredibly skilled and get incredibly lucky in order to actually win. And I also you have to get very lucky. And I also appreciate that it looks very simple on the surface, but there's a lot that goes on underneath the surface, right? So I have some pictures. I want to show you guys some pictures.
Well,
I know, visual aids.
Be careful about what you show on here. Make sure it's not something that we can get dinged for with copyright.
Is this okay?
I don't know. Is it?
Yes, it's fine.
Because otherwise we may have to take this part out, or
no, I think it's fine.
Move it or something.
So this is NetHack. As you can see, you just kind of wander around, and you go upstairs and downstairs, and there's a general store here. So it looks like a very basic game. It's turn-based. You fight monsters and stuff like that. But they keep track of when was the last time you ate, right? How hungry are you? If you get too hungry, you'll pass out and die, right? How long has that corpse been sitting on the floor? If it's been sitting there a long time, it will kill you.
There's a lot of games that do that stuff now.
It keeps track of your weight or how much you're carrying. So I appreciate that it's
inspiration from Oregon Trail, or
to what?
Did this game take inspiration from Oregon Trail, or?
I don't think so.
Just the real, the kind of real stakes that come into play.
Took in for inspiration from Red Dead Redemption 2.
I don't think so. I don't think so. No.
Timelines too.
But it's cool, especially if anyone enjoys D&D, because it's the same sort of characters and classes that you see there, and a lot of the same monsters. So the story of how my dad lost the game that he got furthest on, he got to like level 17 out of 50, and then tried to eat a cockatrice corpse, which, for those of you who know, will immediately turn you into stone.
Of course.
So
just like in real life.
Yeah. But I just think it's a really cool game. Say again?
That's what we tell our kids, don't eat the
cockatrice.
Yeah, that's what I tell my kids all the time.
Don't even touch it, or you will die.
I'm sure that's what all three of us tell each of our kids all the time.
Because I was told that when I was young,
I don't think any of us have kids.
Oh, I know none of us have kids.
Yeah, so I just think it's a really cool game. It's really hard if you're like up for a challenge and dumping hours and hours into not only gameplay but research. It's a lot of fun. And like you can download it for free online. So it's worth a shot. I have dumped many an hour into that game.
Is it worth the price of free though?
It definitely. You will get hours of gameplay.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a couple months ago I want to say I played it for like 3 or 4 hours a day every day for 2 or 3 weeks. And still only got halfway through before dying because it's really hard. Oh, and I was so mad too because I had like really good armor. I had Excalibur, right? Like I had all these cool weapons and armor and stuff. I got down to level 23 and I got pulled into a lake by a jellyfish and drowned.
Wow, you suck.
And I was just like, of all the things, like everything can kill you.
So
That's a lot.
Dark Souls or Cuphead inspiration from.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, it's only one of many in its genre, right? So the roguelike game they're all kind of similar, where you progress as far as you can, and if you die, you're just kind of done, right? But
there were a couple roguelike games that I was considering for this list, but
really,
well, there's one in particular, Rogue Legacy, which I don't know if that's really obscure. Again, I'm so bad
not familiar with it.
No,
it's not.
It's not real.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
All right. It's a good game. I didn't get. Well, I haven't beaten it. It's it's a roguelike. It's fun. I played it in college when I was supposed to be paying attention to classes, and yeah, it's tough, and you get very random characters because like each new character is supposed to be a descendant of your previous character.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and you get like different attributes. Some of them are purely aesthetic. Like sometimes you'll get someone that has like a really big head and a small body or something. And so it can be tough to figure out, but it's fun. That wasn't one that I was going to really mention. I was just thinking about it for a minute. However, I do have a few video games that I don't know what specifically to talk about. Some of them, again, I don't know if they are really obscure.
Again, it doesn't need to be obscure. I'm just looking for things that don't get as much appreciation as they should.
Oh, well, then I have a lot for that list.
But they need to be relatively obscure.
So, okay, how about a recent game, somewhat recent? I don't really know how much attention it's gotten, but What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, I just recently played it. I actually finally ended up playing it because I got Game Pass, and it's included in there, and it's really enjoyable. I thought I played through it twice, and I wasn't really like going through it a second time, just like okay, let's get through this. Fine. No, it's still a pretty enjoyable story. It doesn't really have a lot of replay value. Maybe some, like, because if you're an achievement hunter, you may play through it a few times. But other than that, like, it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of a puzzle game, but none of the puzzles are really that difficult. It's mostly just a narrative game, but like you walk through, you walk up to this house at the beginning, and the character you're playing as is telling a story, and you go into this house. You kind of have to figure out how to get in, and then it's basically all the puzzles are about how you get into the next room and the next place. And there's like a whole, without going into too many spoilers, basically I think your character Edith Finch is like the last person in the family alive. So like everybody else, like you're trying to fill out this family tree because like everybody else in the family had lived in that house, and it got bigger and bigger. They added new additions to it over time, but there's like a family curse, and everybody kind of died in very mysterious ways to this like weird unknown thing. So you kind of go through reliving the last moments of every character in the family, every member of the family, and you're filling out this like little family tree book as you go along, and it's really weird and it's pretty cute.
I
Do
think
you
it's
figure out?
Hmm?
Do you figure out how they all died, or do you figure out the end, like how it all happened?
Yeah, kinda. It's still pretty vague, which is something I appreciate about it. Like you can pretty well piece it together, but they're never really explicit about it.
Yeah.
I feel like what's really cool about it is because I'm somewhat familiar. I haven't played it for myself, but I'm more or less familiar. Is I feel like it's a really good representation of kind of like what the future of storytelling could be like, because that's essentially what it is. Is it's you're going through and you're actually walking through this story, right, and discovering the pieces yourselves and putting it together. So it's a very non-traditional type of game, but I think that's what makes it really cool. And I really look forward to more things like that. It's like next level
Yeah.
interactive storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more on the narrative side, focus on telling the story and like
Mm-hmm.
instead of having to everything have to be this big cinematic thing, and make you use your brain without having to not so much your thirst for violence.
Right. Well, and I feel like it because you're actually playing as the character and you are actually controlling them, it increases the amount of investment in the story I think that the player is likely to have, right? Because when you're just watching a movie, like you can get emotionally invested and you can, identify with the characters and all this stuff, but you're still mostly separate, right? But as soon as you are controlling the main character, like that completely shifts.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why I've always thought that video games as a medium is way better, way more immersive and everything than film. And in general, there are obviously a few exceptions on both sides, but yeah. So that's my second one. Uh,
To
Josh's turn.
me.
Yes.
Cool. I have an anime that I just started. Cells at Work. I discovered it. I was told about it, and I looked up on Crunchyroll. Are
I
you
feel
guys
like
familiar with? Hmm?
I feel like I have heard of that, and I feel like I was told it's very Osmosis Jones.
Yes, yes. Very awesome,
what
Mrs.
sounds
Jones in the show that it was turned into Ozzy and Drix, but instead of a white blood cell and a cold pill working together buddy cop thing, it's more of a it's still an unlikely pairing, but it's more of a there's a girl, she's a red blood cell, and she's constantly trying to deliver her oxygen um, shipment to where she has to go, but she's quote unquote new, and she keeps getting lost in the body. And there is a white blood cell that's just kind of like a gruff loner guy who goes around the body and try and attacking and killing whatever infection, bacteria, virus is the villain of the week.
Why? Why does this sound like it's going to turn into a romance?
I hope it
everything
doesn't,
turns into
because I don't really have that doesn't. This,
I
this,
don't know, just with your description of the characters,
science.
it sounds very stereotypical anime.
well, and
Well, if it's an anime, and they could somehow twist it into a romance thing. I don't know. I can see it,
but
but
aren't they
I'm hoping it doesn't.
okay?
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of, I know you compared it to Osmosis Jones, but I don't know. The only thing I can think of now is the Rick and Morty episode. And
Oh, that's good.
yeah,
Always good. Morty.
Anatomy Park.
Yeah. Uh,
That's all I
but
can think of.
I think this is a little more inspired by Osmosis Jones, but a little more anime. They're fighting tentacled monsters, and the viruses are zombified, cells, and fighting cancer.
Yeah. Not
But
hepatitis A.
I, ugh, I, I do remember Osmosis Jones, where Ozzy and Drix, where they fought. I think they fought hepatitis.
Well,
But
which one? Because one of them
in
is
the first episode too.
which one? Because one of them is friendly, and the others. Oh, never mind. Going back to Rick and Morty.
Okay.
Hannah, what's your second one?
This one was actually not on my list, but I decided to share anyway.
It's
I
not.
think
That's not on the rules. It's
well,
not.
sorry. I made the
But
rules.
Sherry
I'm
is
the one who
married.
came up with this episode, okay?
Okay.
I think this is actually already getting more popular, but it's still relatively new, so I wanted to share. It's an anime called The Promised Neverland.
Okay.
It is. I'm about to tell you a synopsis that's going to sound very spoilery, but it's not. Okay. It's about these kids.
Spoil.
I know. It's about these kids, and they live in an orphanage. Right? And then one day, one of their younger siblings gets adopted, but leaves one of her toys behind. So when the older kids run to return it to her, they find her dead. She's been murdered because they're not actually in an orphanage, they're actually on a human meat farm.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And that's the first episode, which is why it's not spoilery. That's literally episode 1, is they're like, oh wait, we're cattle. Cool.
We can't hear Josh, and he has something to say.
My bad. I was thinking of something Peter Pan related.
Nope.
And I was told that this. Oh no.
Nope. But I really have enjoyed it. I haven't watched much of the anime, but I'm fully up to date on the manga because I'm a manga reader. I know. And what I really enjoy about it is in that first episode, they take this extreme turn from this really cutesy, like, hey, we're all gonna go play tag out in the yard and stuff like this, to something more along the horror thriller lines. And they play on that kind of a lot because you have all these cute little kids. But what makes it really, really cool is they're all going to be eaten by demons, right? And the brain is the most delicious part. So they've been training these kids to be super, super smart, right? Which which turns the whole show into almost like this big strategic chess match between this group of kids and the lady who runs the orphanage and the demons, and they're all trying to play cat and mouse and just think 2 steps ahead of the next people. And it's really fascinating and keeps you on the edge of your seat kind of the whole time.
Yeah.
I tend to fall off when I'm on the edge of my seat.
You might.
I will check that out. Where can I find this show?
I think it's either on Crunchyroll or Funimation. I think it's on Crunchyroll? I don't remember. It's on one of those. And I don't think there's an English dub yet. I don't know if they're planning on it.
There's an English sub.
Yes, there's definitely an English sub. And it's really, really good. Yeah.
What?
I will check that out.
It's good. It's a good one.
I finished season 3 of Attack on Titan, so I'm kind of in the market for a horror anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
I've started a few different animes, and I don't get very far with most of them. Like I've only seen a couple episodes of Attack on Titan. I've seen only the first season still of Castlevania. I haven't even started season 2. And I watched like the first episode not long ago of Sword Art Online, but I haven't seen any more of that. So, and I tried Death Note once. There are some others, I'm sure, but I don't know. I've tried.
I enjoyed Death Note more than I thought I was going to, and I actually haven't finished it. But I was expecting it, again, to be a horror type thing, but it does turn into sort of these mind games strategy sort of thing. And apparently I'm really into that.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I still have only seen, I think, 1 season of Attack on Titan, because I watched it when I was 13, and it was just like the whole time. So I think I'm ready to like get back into it again 10 years later.
Yeah.
But
Season 2 is like I think it's 13 episodes, and this last one is 2 parts, but back to 22, 23 episodes.
yeah, I'm generally not really affected by like blood and gore, but for some reason the way that it's presented
Yeah,
in Attack on Titan just really got to me.
it's pretty intense.
Whew.
Yeah.
I think it was like I distinctly remember a Titan like biting off someone's limb, and in I think it's the very first episode where they take the main character's mom and just like snap her in half.
Yeah.
It gets. But
it was like what am I watching? I didn't ask for all this.
Yeah.
Now I've watched. Speaking of other anime, I've watched only like 2, maybe 3 episodes of One Punch Man, which I like that. It's got I like its humor.
Have either of you seen Cowboy Bebop?
A little bit.
Because I haven't.
Well, no, I've heard good.
I know.
Things.
I've heard that it's like one of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
So I need to watch it.
Add it to the list.
Always.
See, at least you're keeping a list. I hear these things, and this is like whenever anybody tells me, go watch this thing, go play this game, or go listen to this band, I'm like, okay, yeah. I never get around to it because I don't write it down, and I don't even think about it again after that conversation. But you guys will text me probably, or you.
You do you, man.
Okay, we could have a master list.
Just add it to your find something. Just add to your Crunchyroll or Netflix or Hulu Q, and eventually you'll get around to it. That's my train of thought right now.
Yeah.
That's why it's so frustrating when there's people like Hunter who are very much like, you haven't seen such and such, like what's wrong with you as a person? It's like, do you realize how much stuff is out there? There's so much.
And I don't watch a lot. There's so much that I don't watch.
But like,
and trying to find something that's obscure, it's like, okay, this is something that's out there, but do people watch it? How and is it good? And people just haven't really paid any attention.
Yeah. I think what might be an interesting, maybe next time when it's my turn to pick a topic, we'll do this as sort of like the flip side of this conversation. Talk about the shows that we believe are classics, right? Because I feel like many people would say Friends is like it's a big deal, and I'm like, I've never seen it, but Star Trek, let me tell you, right?
I don't know if I would call Friends a classic. I would say it's fantastic.
Or like a must-see kind of thing.
Yeah, a must-see list would be a good.
Yeah, like it's a cultural experience that you have to partake in.
Yes.
Where I'm like, Doctor Who?
I have one more, I'm not going to describe it at all, but one more recommendation. John Dies at the End. It's not on Netflix anymore.
Heard about that.
But it's worth a watch if you've never seen it before and you want something to watch that's weird.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
But so next week is my turn, and I'm thinking of talking about some of the best or most iconic music in video games, because I like music and I like video games. So I think I'm excited for that topic.
Yep, but that's it for this week. So this has been the Nerd Variety Podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, live long and prosper. Bye.